Sea jellies are pretty cool, and so is painting, so today we're going to be talking about Turritopsis dohrnii, also known as the Immortal Jellyfish, while I paint it. Side note, sea jellies aren't actually jellyfish because they aren't fish, they're just jellies. They belong to the phylum Cnidaria, along with anemone and coral because they have soft bodies and produce stinging cells. Jellies have a reputation for being relatively simple creatures. They're made up of 90 to 95% water and have no brain. Yet in spite of this supposed simplicity, one of these medusae seems to have found a way to overcome the bounds of mortality. Understanding Turritopsis dohrnii's immortality starts with understanding the life cycle of a sea jelly. Sea jellies start out as microscopic little dudes that are kind of egg-shaped, and they are called planulae. They float around through the ocean and settle on a hard surface using the cilia, which are hair-like appendages on their body, to move around. Once the polyps are all nice and settled in and start to grow up, they'll eventually bud off to create tons and tons of adult sea jellies, which are also known as medusae. The polyp stage is where the sea jellies spend most of their life because once they grow into an adult jelly, they die after the end of their season. Adult jellies spawn seasonally, and while some migrate and can live for a few years, they'll die off or be eaten by predators. Polyps are known to live for much longer and continue cloning their cells to produce adult jellies. Sea jellies reproduce both sexually and asexually. As polyps, they make what are essentially clones and can produce hundreds and hundreds of adult stage jellies. Meanwhile, the adult jellies can reproduce sexually and produce more planulae, thus repeating their life cycle. Turritopsis dohrnii has made its way around death by finding a way to reverse its life cycle, change its cells, and develop backwards. When the cells of an adult immortal jellyfish grow old or sick, its body will change back into its polyp phase and grow more adult sea jellies instead of dying. This doesn't always work. If the sea jelly is too old or too sick, it will die off, and they can still be eaten by predators, but they are effectively biologically immortal. Their cells completely revert back into a different type of cell that belonged to their earlier life stage, and I think that's pretty neat. Other fascinating things about sea jellies are their neurons. They may not have a central nervous system like a brain, but adult jellies do have a neural network across their body. Medusae have tiny sensory structures called rhopalia that detect light, gravity, and hormones in the water. This means that jellyfish can see light versus dark and feel what's up and down, as well as detecting certain chemical changes. These rhopalia gather information for the jelly's neurons, which are spread out all over their body, and they talk to each other in order to determine where the jelly should go and what it should do. Jellies also have muscles which help them to swim. These muscles are arranged around the bell of the sea jelly and help propel them forward by contracting to push water out of their bodies. While they are capable of movements, they aren't very good swimmers and rely more on currents to get around. If you've ever been to a jelly aquarium, you'll notice that jellies are in a circular tank and are kept moving at a pace that's faster than they're propelling themselves. This is to make sure they don't get stuck in any corners and so they can continue to swim and find food in the water. Another part of the sea jelly that is equally infamous and fascinating is their tentacles. There are actually two types of appendages that float underneath a jelly's main body, which is called the bell, and those are the oral arms and, of course, the tentacles. Jelly tentacles are known for their painful stings, but did you know that they're actually a surprisingly mechanical process, and the venom itself is contained by tiny barbs inside the tentacles that are launched into whatever it touches upon contact, and then the venom is released into the body from there. Jellies use these stinging cells typically to stun or kill their prey, which they then grab with their other appendages, the oral arms. The function of these arms is to pull prey into the jelly's mouth hole so they can digest it. Jellies only have one hole for everything, so all of the food that they eat and whatever they don't digest goes in and out of the same hole. Also, if you get stung by a jelly, the best thing you can do is gently pour warm water on the affected area because it deactivates the stinging cells. Many people believe that peeing on a jelly sting works, but that's actually only because of the warmth, and otherwise it's just gross and not very effective. So if you're gonna go swim in an area where jellies have been seen, it's best to not, but if you're going to anyway, take a thermos of warm, not hot water with you. I love sea jellies because they come in a variety of shapes and sizes, from the lion's mane jelly, which can grow over 100 feet long, to the Immortal Jellyfish, which is smaller than your own pinky nail. Each different kind of jelly has its own unique survival traits that they've evolved, from box jellies, who have the world's deadliest venom, to bioluminescent jellies that gave us glowing proteins to help find and fight cancer in the body. Their diverse traits also lend to their unique and sometimes alien appearances. They're otherworldly and beautiful, growing in a circular symmetry and moving hypnotically throughout the water, which is why, as an artist, I find them so beautiful and fascinating. Well, that is all for this sea jelly painting. I hope you enjoyed the fun jelly facts and the art. If you want to go find some more interesting information, I've linked some of my research and the Medusology episode of the Ologies podcast by Ali Ward in the description of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Stay curious and visit your local aquarium. Find some jellies out there.